In the off-court fight, Ricky Pisacia kept the Las Vegas attackers focused on winning, baby. Their season has encompassed the groundbreaking and the heartbreaking. There have been belated hellos and, some would say, similarly overdue goodbyes. There has been tragedy, and there was, on Sunday, the most dramatic of triumph. And it has all added up to Las Vegas Raiders in the playoffs. Just a short month ago that had looked unlikely, but in many ways it was entirely in keeping with an NFL season that has given us a number of surprises and a turbulent few months for the Raiders franchise, who have spent time in the spotlight for the right and the wrong reason. Too often they have been making headlines away from the pitch, but when the dust settled after the overtime victory that clinched their postseason spot and eliminated their great rivals, Los Angeles Chargers, all that mattered was that they had delivered on the motto of Al Davis, the Raiders' legendary former owner: just win, baby. It is only the second time since the 2002 season, when they lost the Super Bowl to Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that they have reached the playoffs. Had they not kicked the game-winning field goal with 2 seconds remaining and let the clock tick down to a tie, their season would still be alive, and so would the Chargers. But in winning the game, they have shown a ruthless streak that will set them in good stead in the playoffs, which seemed a long way off when they fell to a 6-7 win-loss record on December 12 with a 48-9 defeat by Kansas City Chiefs. Let's recap how they got here. The season had started on a high. In June, Carl Nassib, the defensive lineman, became the first active NFL player to come out as gay, a move that was greeted with much acclaim across the league. Fans were to be allowed into the Allegiant Stadium for the first time with their first year after the move from Oakland having fallen under the grip of COVID-19. And then, with John Gruden at the helm, they came out of the blocks defeating Baltimore Ravens 33-27 in overtime in Week 1, with Derek Carr, the quarterback, throwing for more than 400 yards, and Darren Waller, the tight end of whom great things were expected, putting in a dominant 100-yard display. 2 weeks later, they were 3-0. 2 defeats followed. Then the existence of certain emails became public, and Gruden, exposed as a racist, homophobic misogynist, was on his way. Walking before he was pushed. Into the maelstrom walked Rich Pisacia, the assistant head coach and special teams coordinator. He not only had to pick up the pieces after Gruden resigned, he was then the man in charge when Henry Ruggs III, his sophomore wide receiver, was involved in a high-speed car crash in which a woman was killed. Ruggs was found to be more than double the drink-drive limit, and it is believed he was driving at 156 miles per hour. He was charged with driving under the influence, resulting in death, and reckless driving. The decision to cut him that day was a no-brainer. And yes, teams move on from players all the time, but Ruggs was a first-round pick, and incidents such as that contained a franchise as well as affect the players. It was perhaps no surprise that they lost the next 3 games. A victory over Dallas Cowboys was followed with 2 defeats, and the season threatened to slip away. But Pisacia galvanized his side with 2 narrow wins before the news came through that John Madden had died. Madden had worked under the enigmatic Davis as head coach of the Raiders from 1969 to 1978. A tenure that included a 32-14 victory over Minnesota Vikings in Super Bowl XI. Through his commentary and range of video games, Madden was a part of every fan's life, but he was part of the Raiders' history. Needless to say, his old side did what they had to in the last 2 games of the season. We will never know how the Raiders' season would have panned out without any of the above. Cynics may say it is hard to claim that anything other than the change of head coach could have that big an impact on the squad, but to do so is to underestimate what professional sportsmen allow to influence them. Momentous events, good or bad, can become sources of motivation, can provoke a siege mentality that can be harnessed for the good. Without Sunday being a game in which the Raiders honored Madden, and without the emotion that had been swirling around the franchise and the stands, would they have absorbed the body blow of letting slip a 15-point lead in the 4th quarter and shown the resilience to get the job done in overtime? Perhaps, but perhaps not. What about the impact of Pisacia, who must find a way to beat Cincinnati Bengals in the playoff curtain raiser on Saturday, when they will be heavy underdog? He steered the team through rocky waters before engineering 4 wins in a row when defeat would have ended their season, and let's not forget Gruden had failed to get to the playoffs in far less tumultuous seasons, and as such his achievement deserves recognition. Matt LaFleur of Green Bay Packers, no matter how much he deserves it, is likely to be overlooked for Coach of the Year as he has the luxury of working with Aaron Rodgers. Bill Belichick has taken his New England Patriots to the playoffs with a rookie quarterback who was 5th off the board. Cliff Kingsbury's Arizona Cardinals have gone off the boil. So what about the man who has brought the Raiders to the boil at just the right time? Pisacia's team of course had their on-field struggles early in his short tenure, and he may not even be in the job next week. Such are the vagaries of life in the NFL.